Hi everyone, thank you very much, Ika. Yes, it's true, I am Matt Field and I am the British Ambassador to Bosnia and Herzegovina. The British Ambassador. 4 years in, still not getting old, still enjoying that, still getting used to it. It's great. So look, it's really a pleasure to talk to you today. I wanted to talk about diplomacy, and I'd also like to talk about young people. But before that, I do have a confession to make. I never wanted to be an ambassador. At least, I had no idea that this was something you could choose to do. No one in my family, no one among our friends had ever done anything like this. I just didn't know it was an option. And if you'd asked 7-year-old Matt what he wanted to be, he probably would have said a tin of baked beans. So having achieved this ambitious goal by the age of 7, what was I going to do for the rest of my life? And this is what began really a whole series of different studies, different activities, different jobs. I spent time studying in Sweden. I worked as a teacher in Japan and Kenya. I worked at a World Cup. I was a bouncer in a nightclub. I volunteered with an international NGO. I studied religions, history, cultures. What did I learn? I learned that I'm interested in people, in the world around me, what makes them tick. And this is when I discovered that there is a career for the internationally nosy. I became a diplomat. Fast forward 19 years, incredible years all around the world. And here I am today as the most senior UK diplomat in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the ambassador. But I do still remember that very first day, the very first day in the job, walking through the doors of this incredible building, actually, that we have in London. And this incredible building, and really walking into the foreign ministry and asking myself at that point, well, what exactly is it that we do here? What is it that I'm going to be doing all day? And really, now that I've found out, finally, what it is an ambassador does all day, I'd like to share some of that with you, and I'd really like to share with you what I think makes a good ambassador. And then I'd like to tell you how young people in this country have really turned much of my approach completely upside down. And the reason I want to share this with all of you, not just with diplomats or not just with people who want to become diplomats, is because the world has changed. It is more interconnected, it's smaller, it's more international. So this is no longer the job of a few. This is a job for everyone. And actually all of us in this room here are in different ways doing the job of ambassadors. You are ambassadors, Your Excellencies. And I want to share a couple of the lessons that I've learned, because there is much more to this job than just protocol and translation. First, the first thing I want to share with you really is about the incredible impact of being curious. And I know and I appreciate, especially here of all places at a TEDx talk, that sounds kind of obvious. But from what I've seen personally, time and time again, curiosity is what sets the best from the rest. Curiosity is what makes really great diplomats keep asking why. Curiosity is what makes you pay attention. It makes you listen, it makes you ask questions, it makes you notice, it makes you want to better understand people, events, places, cultures, systems. And being interested is a superpower. It makes you look beyond the people in formal positions of authority, to what others are experiencing, and to find out about their hopes and their fears. So wherever in the world I've been, curiosity is what has then helped me to master the language, to remember names, to find new perspectives, to do my job better. It's what helps me to learn something new every single day. And it's what makes me say yes to all kinds of strange invitations. even when I'm not quite sure what it is that I'm getting myself into. Thank you. So look, first thing, curiosity. The second thing that I've learned is that I need to represent all of the UK, all of it. Yes, I'm here representing the democratically elected government, yes, but I'm also representing its many, many different people. So I'm not here today only for the bass-playing, ginger-bearded, unconventionally good-looking Oxford United fans. I'm really here to represent the whole of the country. But I'm also here to represent all of the amazing work that's being done by our brilliant staff in the British Embassy in Sarajevo. Most of them actually BI8 citizens, and they are committed, working incredibly hard every day to help this country succeed. And this matters. This representation point matters more than ever in this interconnected world. And really, during the last few years, I've seen my own government in the UK trying to change this, trying to change the way that we represent ourselves overseas. Because this is not a British ambassador. Well, I mean, actually it is. It was. But this is changing, because this is a British ambassador as well. And so is this, at the front here, leading prayers outside the embassy in Khartoum. And so is this, our brilliant ambassador then in Tel Aviv, openly gay, taking part in the Pride event in Tel Aviv there. And so is this, our first black female ambassador, Nene, working in Maputo, Mozambique. But really, we still have a long way to go. And until very recently, the UK had never had a female ambassador in Berlin, in Paris, in Moscow, in Washington, in New York, in Tokyo. We still never had a female ambassador here in Sarajevo and many other places. That picture is, though, it's starting to change. And here are some of my female colleagues in those same top jobs. And now women make up about a third of our ambassadors around the world. As I say, there's still a long way to go, especially in terms of race, in terms of social mobility, sexual orientation. But I personally am really excited to be part of that work as an ally, as a mentor, helping to prepare the way for those that follow me. So in summary, curiosity and representation really matter. So what's all this about young people? It was 2 years ago, and the start of a little thing, I don't know if you remember it, called the COVID-19 pandemic. It was the early days of working from home, although I think much of the time it felt more like living at work. I was still grumpy, actually, because I just had to cancel a visit by Prince Charles at the last minute because of the pandemic. The question really was, how on earth was I going to do my job? How was I going to be an ambassador? How was I going to do this job if I couldn't meet people and I couldn't travel? But actually, for even longer, I'd been asking myself a different question. Because I had realized, long after many of you, I'm sure, but I had realized that young people were key to the future of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And much of that talent was walking out the door. So I'd started to focus on the need to give young people the opportunity to stay and succeed here at home. I realized I was talking about young people quite a lot. Problem was that I wasn't actually talking to young people. So I was spending very little of my time with young people, and we've just gone into lockdown. And when I'm thinking about that representation point that I was making before, I'm not only the UK ambassador to Sarajevo, to the foreign ministry, to 50-something men that have been in politics too long. I'm meant to be the ambassador to everyone. And that's the only way that I can do this job properly. So these two ideas, these questions, they came together really into one sort of solution, one idea. Maybe, just maybe, I could find a small group of young people from all across the country who'd be willing to talk to me online, and advised me about what young people thought and what they wanted. I thought we might find 10 if we were lucky. So I put out the request on all of our channels, along with a couple of questions about why people wanted to be involved. Now, I'm afraid we didn't get 10 applications. We got 300. 300 amazing, and I mean amazing individuals from all corners of the country, incredibly generous with their ideas, filled with determination to improve the country. They were all clearly active in many different fields all at once, and rooted in their communities all across BIH. They were frustrated, yes, but they were very far from apathetic. And they were passionate about protecting their future. More than anything, I realized they wanted to be listened to. Reading all these applications, trying somehow to get down to just 10 was hard, but it was not by any means a hardship. So with that first brilliant group of advisors together, I met them online each month, always me personally, sometimes with a guest coming and joining as well. Spending a couple of hours discussing an agenda that they set. The environment, education system, role of media, economic opportunity, mental health, human rights, life with disability, politics, inclusion. But more than anything else, really, why young people are leaving and what would help them stay. Many of the group would talk to their friends, their peers, their family members before those discussions to better answer my questions, provide me advice. And now I have my second group of advisors, and I've got to say, I cannot thank them enough. They have been an amazing resource, an amazing company for this. These conversations really made me rethink how I was doing my job in this country, how the UK embassy was setting its priorities. It did not mean, I have to say, it did not mean I could stop meeting everyone over 29, unfortunately. I still had to do those parts of the job, but it meant there was the opportunity for a shift of focus towards young people. And actually, in many cases, it was really about giving more emphasis to the work that was already being done by my excellent UK embassy colleagues. But what does this look like in practice? Let me share some very specific examples. So when the UK took on with Italy the presidency of COP26, the whole climate change process under the UN, we decided to put young people at the center. So those with the greatest interest in reversing our current destructive course. So here are Anastasia Georgia and Armela, who went as ambassadors to Glasgow on behalf of Bosnia and Herzegovina, representing the many passionate and engaged young people here and working with peers from all around the world to set the way forward. On the difficult subject of sexual violence and conflict, I found that those born since the war are actually some of the most inspiring and determined advocates. This is a group performing Yellow Boots, which is a play about stigma and prejudice today faced by survivors in BIH. And I feel very lucky, I have to say, amongst many, many great speakers, but particularly lucky today to be sharing the stage with the wonderful Aina Jusic. So this is another example. This is on our work to combat extremism, to build community resilience, where we asked young people themselves to come up with the ideas. So what did they want to do in their communities? And this is me in Bugojno taking part in a blood drive that they used to bring different people, different parts of the community together. And as you can see, I really will do anything for likes. So we're talking more to young business people, young entrepreneurs, especially in this amazing IT sector that you have in Bosnia and Herzegovina, looking for ways to try to reduce the bureaucracy and the obstacles that have been put in their way. This is me at the co-working collaboration space Tears House, but there's many, many examples of this all across the country. And we've also been teaching coding skills, problem solving, critical thinking in every primary school across the Western Balkans. These are Nemanja and Ana Maria of Alexa Stančić school up in Ugljevik. They won the BIH competition for coding. They went to the regionals and they won that as well. And in talking to young members of the BIH Armed Forces, for example, we heard about, and then we have been working to tackle the 80% pay cut that many of them were facing in order to participate in essential training. And now we send the best and brightest from this country to study at our military academies, people like Yasmina here, and then bringing their skills back. In every media interview that I've been doing, I now look for ways to turn the media spotlight on young people, and can now speak with some understanding, maybe some credibility, about what they're concerned about and what they want to see. And when it comes to the elections that we have later this year, we are encouraging young people to make their voices heard, as voters, as observers, as candidates as well. So we can all spend a bit more time focusing on the future of this country and a bit less on the past. But this hasn't really been about creating a new kind of separate area of work labeled young people. For us as an embassy, it's been about putting young people at the heart of everything that we do in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And this has led directly to better policies, better projects, better results. So I want to leave you today with 3 practical takeaways. For all of you different kinds of ambassadors in the room. So firstly, I'm going to ask you all to be optimistic. Optimistic about the interests, skills, and energy of young people in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the contribution that they have to make today. Secondly, I encourage us all to create more ways to spend time with young people, and crucially, to listen to what they have to say. Finally, I'd like us to get more young people in the room. So in the room where decisions are taken, decisions that affect them and their future. Because in my experience, they are talented, they are motivated, and they are full of ideas. And the more that they're involved in creating that future, the brighter that future will be. Thank you very much.